more than 500 New Yorkers who were told to report to jury duty on Monday are set to play a part in history, the first ever criminal trial of an ex-American president. Donald Trump, for the next 6 to 8 weeks, will be thrust into a role he has spent his entire life trying to avoid, that of a criminal defendant on trial, potentially inching closer and closer and closer to the one thing he fears most, according to his friend Chris Christie.
No matter what he says, no matter how he's bragging and going on about him not being afraid, he goes to bed every night thinking about the sound of that jail cell door closing behind him.
It's a soundbite that'll live forever. Compounding that specific fear, as told to us by his friend Chris Christie, as he sits at the defense table, the ex-president will have to watch many of his closest aides and former advisors and employees lay out in painstaking detail for a jury of 12 what prosecutors allege is an illegal scheme to cover up hush money payments made in order to hide damaging information from becoming public and being known by voters. This is what Judge Merchan will tell potential jurors Monday, quote, "The allegations are in substance that Donald Trump falsified business records to conceal an agreement with others to unlawfully influence the 2016 presidential election." Now, much of the evidence in this case is already known to us in the public. There's the tape of Trump talking to Michael Cohen about silencing Karen McDougal, which shows that Trump was deeply involved in a years-long scheme to suppress negative stories about himself.
I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David. And I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be...
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
I'll pay the kid.
No.
No. That's not how you do it. That's not how you silence someone before an election. And then there's Stormy Daniels. We all know Stormy Daniels. She's already come clean about the pressure she faced to stay silent.
So you signed and released a statement that said, "I'm not denying this affair because I was paid in hush money. I'm denying it because it never happened." That's a lie.
Yes.
If it was untruthful, why did you sign it?
Because they made it sound like I had no choice. The exact sentence used was, "They can make your life hell in many different ways."
And one of the key witnesses to all aspects of this, Michael Cohen, has already testified on exactly how the scheme works. Here's what he told Congress in 2019.
Mr. Trump directed me to use my own personal funds from a home equity line of credit to avoid any money being traced back to him that could negatively impact his campaign. The President of the United States thus wrote a personal check for the payment of hush money as part of a criminal scheme to violate campaign finance laws.
All of that, as dramatic and unprecedented and sordid as it is, could be the tip of the iceberg, though. In a brand new interview, Michael Cohen tells Politico that we are going to be surprised by the strength of the evidence. He says this, quote, "Most people don't really know anything. They only know what the headlines have been. And as you know very, very well, headlines do not necessarily tell the story. The country now on the verge of a watershed moment in American politics in the form of a criminal case against Donald Trump being laid out in a court of law."
What other witness or witnesses do you think will most clearly corroborate his testimony?
Well, I'm going to answer your question according to public reports, because I was in the room with Michael for almost 2 years while the prosecutors were preparing this case. I can tell you that there is another major crime that Michael was forced to plead guilty to, even though he really had nothing to do with it other than papering it. And that involved the National Enquirer and somebody named David Pecker. David Pecker testified in front of the grand jury that he met, and that's the word federal prosecutors used in their memorandum. Trump met with David Pecker to do a cash and kill scheme where the National Enquirer would pay off anyone coming with bad information about Donald Trump before the election.
So Michael Cohen, Donnie, has been in the public eye, but the National Enquirer piece of this hasn't. Just remind folks what this is.
Yeah, basically, a catch and kill is basically a bad story is going to come out, and you go to the publisher of the story and you offer up something in return to kill the story. And Trump was friendly with David Pecker, and this story was killed, and I think that's going to come out a lot in this case.